Hey everybody, welcome to Board Game Heaven. My name is Raymond, and in this video I'll be taking a look at Kami, published by Oka Luda. Author unknown. This is a card game based on an ancient Japanese game called shogi, which is kind of like chess turned into a card game. It's a game for 2 to 4 players, which plays in about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how many rounds you play. And it's illustrated by Pauline Berdal, and the illustrations are really lovely, which I will show you in a bit. So let me just open up the box, show you what's inside. I'll set up a game and explain the rules, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so Kami comes in a small compact box with a lovely illustration on the front. It says it's for ages 8 and up. 20 minutes, approximately, 2 to 4 players, illustrated by Pauline Berdal. On the back, there's a little bit of a explanation about the game. This is in French. I got this copy from Oka Luda, thanks a lot for that. And it tells you what's inside. The rules you can find online in 6 different languages as well. So let's take a look at what is inside this box. You'll find a leaflet with the rules. I have the English rules right here, and it's just, this is basically all the rules you need for 4 players. This bit explains the cards. Here are some extra rules, and there's a variant for 3 and 2 players, and modes of the game, basically telling you how long to play until you finish. There's a punch board with coins in here that you use to keep track of the points you have scored. And there's a deck of cards in here. They come shrink wrapped. I already opened them. And they have these illustrations on them. And that's everything that's in the box. Let me set up a game and explain the rules. Kami has a different setup for playing with 4, 3 or 2 players, so I'll do each individually. For a 4-player game, you shuffle the deck of cards, and then each player draws a card, and the player with the card with the highest value, which is on the bottom of the card, is the starting player. And you take all the cards back and you shuffle them again, and then the first player deals out 8 cards randomly to each player, and that is their hand. Each player takes their hand of 8 cards into their hand without showing the other players, and then you're ready to start. For a 3-player game, you do exactly the same thing, but you deal 3 players 8 cards, and the final 8 cards are set aside. For a 2-player game, shuffle all the cards together, deal out 8 cards in the center of the table face down, and then deal out 8 cards face up on top of those cards, and deal the remaining cards to the 2 players so that each player has a hand of 8 cards. Keep your coin tokens nearby, and now you're ready to play. There are 8 different cards in Kami. There's the soldier, and this soldier is in the game 10 times and has a value of 1. There's the spearwoman, who is in the game 4 times, has a value of 2. The horseman, who is in the game 4 times, also has a value of 2. There's the silver dragon and the gold dragon. Both are in the game 4 times and have a value of 3. There's the tower, which is in the game twice with a value of 4. The madman, who's in the game twice with a value of 4. And finally, the empress, who's in the game twice and has a value of 5. The object of the game is to be the first player to score 15 points, and in a 4-player game, be the first team to score 15 points, because in a 4-player game, you play as a team with the person opposite from you. So if I was the first player here, then first thing you do is play a card in defense, and then next you play a card in offense. And on your turn, you can do either that, or you can pass. So let's do a round first so you can see how that works. So first of all, the first player to play a card in defense gets to play any of their cards face down because they haven't been attacked yet, being the first player. So for example, I'll take the soldier, because there's 10 of those in the game, so they're not the most useful card. And I'll put that face down in defense. Next, I'm gonna have to play a card in offense. And as you can see, some of the cards are in the game 4 times, some are in there only 2 times, some are in there 10 times. Now I can't play the Empress in offense before another Empress has been played in defense. And since there is only 2 in the game, that means either I have to play this one in defense on a future turn, and then somebody else, the other player over there who has the Empress, can then use that card to play in offense, or vice versa. Of course, you don't see each other's cards, so you don't know that, and you also do not see your partner's cards, nor are you allowed to communicate what you have. So there's no communicating. So now I have to pick a card to play in offense. Well, these cards are all in the game 4 times, but I do have 2 of these, so chances are perhaps my partner over there might also have one. Now they don't, but I don't know that, so I might choose to play this horseman in offense. And you place that behind the card in defense. This is your first row, and you'll have 3 more. So then the next player's turn starts, and again that player may choose to either play a card in defense to this card, and then a card in offense, or pass. And you can pass whether or not you are able to defend. So you can willingly pass if you don't want to. And when you want to play a card in defense, you have to play the same card as the other player next to you has played in offense. So in this case, they could choose to defend with this card, since that is the same card. And now they have an interesting choice to make, because now they have to play a card in offense. And this Madman card over here is only in the game twice, and this player has both of these cards. So let's see, shall we do that? Oh, I think I will. So that player is going to play their Madman. So now the next player can see if they can block that card. So if they had the Empress, the Empress can block all cards except for the Spearman and the Soldier. So they could have blocked with the Empress if they had them, but this player has the Empress themselves. So that's not going to happen. And this player knows that, of course, since now he has this one and that one. That's a pretty good combo to have right now. So that player cannot block this offense. So they are going to have to pass. Same for the next player over there, also does not have an Empress or that Madman, so they also have to pass. Next is my turn. So now I can either play my Empress or decide to pass. But if I pass, then that player gets to play a new card in defense. But since they haven't been attacked by anyone, because everybody passed, they can play it face down, just like I did with my first card. But I want to get rid of my card, so I am going to play my Empress in defense, which means that the other player who has the Empress, this one, can now use this one in offense. All right, and that's good, because then they can use that card as the final card if they manage to play that first and score 5 points, because this is the most valuable card. So now I've played that. Now I need to play a card in offense again. Well, this one probably everybody has. We've already seen 2 horsemen. I've got one, so somebody else should also have a horseman. Could be my partner, since I don't know that. So I might risk it again and play this card. Next is this player, so they don't have a horseman to block, but they could use the Empress again. Since it's not a soldier or a spearman, that's a valid move to make. And this player is indeed going to play the Empress to block this horseman, because now they can play their second Madman, and they know that nobody has that card, and now both Empresses are out, so nobody's going to be able to block this. So this player can't block, has to pass, that player has to pass, and I have to pass as well. So now this player can play a card face down. So they're probably gonna play a soldier face down because, you know, there haven't been many soldiers in play yet. This is the only one and nobody has seen it. So all of those soldiers are in play. This player only has two, so they're gonna get rid of that, play that face down, unchallenged in defense. Now they have another important choice to make, because I'm not gonna play this in offense unless I'm sure that I can retake the next offense with one of these in defense. So what to do? Do I give away this card? Probably the next player will be able to block that. Or do I try and play one of these and see, you know, but there haven't been any cards of this on the table either. So I'll just give it away and just put that card on the table. So then, of course, this player can easily block that. And now they have to play another card in offense. Let's say they're playing the tower in offense. There we go. And then the next player, well, they happen to have that tower, so they play that in defense. Well, they see that there's 3 horsemen in play, so they have the 4th one, so they're gonna play a horseman in offense because they know nobody has that, and again, the empresses are all out. So that means I have to pass, this player has to pass, that player has to pass as well, and it's back to this player. So that was a quick round. They will play this card in defense because they are unchallenged. It is played face down. And now again, I have to make a tough call. So I could play... Are there any spearmen in the game yet? Nope. So there's 3 other ones somewhere. Or a dragon, because they have 2 of these, so they might try an attack with the gold dragon. Well, fortunately, I do have the gold dragon, so I'm going to block that one in defense. Now to make another offense move, I think I'll play, well, it's a tough one, but since there haven't been played many soldiers, it could well be that somebody else is going to play a soldier in an offense, and I would be able to block that. So I'm going to play this. Well, next player is in luck because this player does have that dragon to block my offense, and then they play their final card and they win the round, and this card is worth 2 points, so they take 2 points, put it on their side, and that's the whole round. And you just simply take all the cards, shuffle them again, and then the next player is the first player. Now, what I forgot to mention in the setup is that if you shuffle the cards and you deal the cards and any player has 5 or more soldiers on their hand, then they can call for a mulligan. Simply reveal your hand, say, well, I've got 5 soldiers, and then you just collect all the cards again, reshuffle, and deal out new cards. There is also a rule where it says that if you can manage to play your last hand with 2 similar cards, and you play that hand unchallenged, so that means that if you played this card in offense last and everybody has to pass, and you can play your first card face down, unchallenged, and your second card, of course, then makes you end the round, and then you can show that these 2 cards were identical, then you score double, you score both cards. So it is very important to try and get, you know, valuable cards if you have twice, to try and keep those for last if you can, and that's called a master stroke. So players keep on playing like this, and teams share their collected points. So if that player wins, then you can just add those coins to the common pool of those 2 players. Same goes for this team. So if I win a round and I get a point or 2 points in this case, if I had a master stroke, and the other player also wins a round, you just add up those coins, and the first team in a 4-player game to have 15 points wins the game. The 3-player version of the game plays exactly the same. Each player gets 8 cards. The remaining 8 cards are set aside, and now it's each person for themselves. So there's no teams, it's simply each person for themselves, and the player who manages to play their last card from their hand first scores a number of coins printed on the bottom of that card. So a quick example of how a 3-player game might go. If this is the first player, they played the first card in defense, which was a soldier. Then they attack with a soldier. This player defends with a soldier, attacks with the silver dragon. That player defends with the silver dragon, attacks with a soldier. Back to the first player. First player manages to defend with a soldier, attacks with the gold dragon. This player doesn't have a gold dragon, so has to pass. That player has the gold dragon, so defends and then attacks with a spear soldier. I happen to have a spear soldier, so I defend and attack with the tower. This player has another tower, so defends and attacks with another spear soldier, which this person doesn't have anymore, so they have to pass, and then it's back to me. Now at this point, I could defend with the Empress. Nope, I couldn't, because that is a spearwoman, so I would have to pass as well, and so on and so forth. A 2-player game plays exactly the same as a 3 or 4-player game, except that you can now choose to recruit any of the open cards that are in the middle of the table instead of playing a card from your hand. You can still pass, but when you want to play a card but you don't have one on your hand, you may choose to pick one of those. And when you do and take one of these cards to play, you flip over the face down card that's beneath it, which is now also available to all players. Just like in a normal game, the game stops once one of the players puts down their final card from their hand. They score the number of points that are listed on the bottom of that card, and the game ends as soon as one of the players reaches 15 points. Regardless of with how many players you're playing the game, 2, 3 or 4, you can end the game in 3 different ways. You can play the soldier mode, where you finish as soon as one of the players has 15 points and that player wins. You can play the Lord way, where you finish the game at 15 points, but if you exceed, you have to subtract the points that exceed 15. So for example, if you have 17 points at the end of the round, then you have 2 points too many. You subtract that from 15, which brings you back to 13, and you continue playing. You can also play the Kami mode, where you finish the game at 15 points, but if you exceed 15 points, you go back to having 0 points, so you have to play your last card to bring you to exactly 15 points. But that could take a very long time. And if you're short on time, you can also say, we will simply play a X number of rounds, and then at the end of the round, we look at who has the most points, and that player is declared the winner. And that's everything you need to know on how to play Kami. Let's go to my final thoughts. Alright, so my final thoughts on Kami, published by Oka Luda. First of all, let me start with the presentation of the game. So it's mostly cards, but they're nice and big tarot-sized cards. They are of a normal thickness, nothing special. And they have these cardboard tokens, which are also of a standard thickness. They have this nice print on them in different denominations of 1, 3, and 5, in bronze, white, which is silver, and yellow, which is gold. So that is pretty clear. They are also in different sizes, so that works really well. They are beautifully illustrated by Pauline Berdal. Give her website or her Instagram a look. I'll put the link in the description below. She makes lovely artwork, and it really shows. I mean, these cards are fantastic. I really like them. And, well, the cards are clear enough. They have the image of what this is supposed to be on it, their value at the bottom, and the number of times that card is in the game in the top left corner. So that's all very clear. You can easily keep track of how many cards there are already, on the table in your hand, and how many cards there should be left in other players' hands if you're playing a 4-player game. In a 3-player game, there's 8 cards that are left out, so you have to calculate the odds a bit. And in a 2-player game, there's 8 cards face down on the table and 8 cards face up. So you only find out which cards are left out if you use them during the game. So that's all pretty clear. The presentation and the artwork is absolutely very good. The gameplay is fun. It's a quick game. It's a simple game, simple to teach. People, pick this up really quickly. It's fun to play in a 2-player game. It's fun to play in a 3-player game, which plays differently. And it's fun to play in a 4-player game, which also plays differently because you're playing in teams. So there's, 2, 3, or 4 players, each in different type of game mode, but it plays the same, but you have different circumstances. So that's pretty fun, I think. So gameplay is absolutely also a thumbs up. Really enjoy this game. Replayability is high. You can play this as many times as you like, of course. It's just a small card game. But, after playing one game, you might want to play again. Although the game does have in the rules that you play until 15 points. So if you follow that rule, you'll probably play about 4 or 5 rounds, which is a nice number of rounds to play this game. It doesn't overstay its welcome. But of course, if you're limited on time, you can always say, well, let's just play 3 or 4 rounds and then see whoever has the most points and that person wins. So that works as well. And you can play additional game modes that take even longer. So that's all up to you. Really enjoy this. There is no language at all in the games, just the rules. I got an English leaflet of rules, and there's rules available online as well in 6 different languages. So the game itself is completely language independent, which is also a big thumbs up. So all in all, I really enjoyed this game. It's a lot of fun. It's quick. It's clever. It's beautifully illustrated. And it's a compact, small game. It does have nice big cards though, but it comes in a compact box, so you can easily bring that along. All in all, giving it a big 2 thumbs up. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please also give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get notified whenever I upload a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Board Game Heaven.